Michael Tedder, thank you for joining after the Deluge podcast. How you doing?
Hey, thank you for having me. Excited to be here. Always happy to talk about Bright Eyes because my friends and my wife have heard me talk about this about Conor for very long, and they could use a break.
Okay, good. Well, this is a chance for you to release all of that, to spare them.
Thank you.
Your Bright Eyes fandom predates mine, as does many people who love Bright Eyes. Like I'm a person who kind of came in through a little bit Fevers and Mirrors, and then lifted, and then not afraid to admit that it was sort of like fell in love hardcore with this record.
There's no shame in that.
No shame whatsoever. But you, it sounds like, had seen him as early as like kind of early 2000s. How'd you find Bright Eyes? And we'll use this as our way to kind of find our way toward On Wide Awake It's Morning.
Okay, so my Bright Eyes origin story, as it were. I was basically decided when I was a teenager I was going to be a music journalist. I started writing record reviews, or pop culture journalist, he said, being pretentious. I started writing record reviews and that sort of thing for my high schools. And I was like the arts editor of the college newspaper, had friends who at the college radio station, went to shows all the time. And I kept hearing about this band, Bright Eyes. And I think they played with the Faint at a house show, but I didn't know about the house show because I wasn't quite cool enough to know the dude who did the house shows. uh, the rumor was the guy literally was studying punk for his thesis. I honestly to this day don't know if that was a joke or not, but I definitely heard a lot about them. I read about them, I believe CMJ and Spin.
Around what year are we talking?
2001. And then that summer, I had an internship at Men's Health. The first time I ever got to go to New York. Eye-opening experience. And cliche alert, I went and bought Fevers and Mirrors at the New York record store, Other Music. Yes, I did do that.
Tight.
And I didn't quite get it right away, but I enjoyed it. And I managed to buy it and get into Bright Eyes a week or two after he played this venue called the Village Vanguard. It was his early tour where he very famously, I believe, wore a tuxedo and as a backing man all of women in prom dresses. If you ever find those YouTube videos, they're a hoot. I wish I'd been there.
Yeah, I've seen those.
I'm from Orlando, Florida, and I went to college in Columbia, Missouri, between St. Louis and Kansas City. So I could definitely, relate to that Midwestern feeling of being feeling bummed and isolated.
Yep.
And, plenty of teen angst, plenty of romantic foibles, as there were. Summer 2002, one of the best years for music ever, if you ask me, and you did. And I still insist, Lifted was the best record of that year. I graduated college, I moved back home, had like one or two friends, but we were kind of outgrowing each other. Well, one friend was outgrowing, the other was not. Certainly no girlfriend. No real idea what I want to do with my life other than make it as a writer. And he's using air quotes reader because he is very far away from figuring out how to do that. But I saw they're coming to play the local venue, the Social in Orlando. I went. As you know, it's your podcast. Record has it's basically a freaking orchestra of indie rock. And on this very tiny stage were 20 people, like string player, keyboard player, 3 guitars. I was like, it was nuts. And the whole feeling I got was this is momentous and important. Like, this is your band right now. And I'm going to get a little political here. 2002, a year after 9/11, you could definitely tell shit was going really bad in this country. Reader, if you don't like when people mix politics and music, just turn this podcast off now and never read anything that I write. And you can definitely tell things are going bad. It was a very scary time. And I was getting freaked out. I got freaked out in my own personal life, freaked about the way the country was going, freaked out we were about to head to war. Just freaked out everything, man. And Conor definitely mirrored that frustration and sadness and like, what the hell is going on? And then people were heckling him because they would go to his shows to heckle him. I have no idea why. I think it was either A, he made people uncomfortable because he was so open with his emotions. I don't make a certain type of really a man who doesn't have an easy relationship with his masculinity very uncomfortable, or they were just jealous because he was a hot dude who clearly got laid a lot.
You know what? It's both. Yeah, it's both. There was we were in a weird place. Even I was, as a person who loves a lot of this music now, but I was wrestling with the idea of I didn't know what emo even was, but I knew I didn't want to be into it. Even though I listened to a ton of emotional music and some of my favorite music, even then, I think it was just sort of I don't know, it's pitted against punk in some way.
Yeah, a lot of emo bashing when you look back on it, and I did for my book. It's just coded gay bashing against straight people.
Okay, anyway, you've been really great, and thank you. And this is our last song. It's called "Let's Not Shit Ourselves." Let's not fucking defecate in our own pants. It's called "Yeah, Boys." For real. There's a lot of people shitting themselves these days. We're not gonna be one of them.
And then after that show, I was hooked. And then I got a job that I hated, writing like real estate for some place in Tampa, Florida. Tampa, Florida is a great place. Don't get me wrong, because I didn't know anyone there. And so I was like, well, I have nothing to do. Bright Eyes is touring. They're doing one date in Orlando, one date in Tampa. I'll go to both. Screw it. And the Orlando show is definitely very memorable. It was, if memory serves, and I think I'm correct about this, the week, if not the night of the launch of the Iraq War. Conor immediately gets on stage and says, like, they're doing a war now. And I'm paraphrasing here, but they're going to keep doing fucking wars. All this fucking bullshit. And immediately people started yelling at him. Some guy got on stage, tried to rush him, and security pushed him off. And then it was this incredible show. And between those two nights, I think of the Tampa one, they ended the set with Road the Joy. I was like, what is this? This is like insane. It's their heaviest, most cacophonous song ever.
The sun came up with no conclusions. Flowers sleeping in their beds. The city summer dailies humming. I'm wide awake, it's morning.
Both nights they did First Day of My Life. And like, I'm not the type of guy who goes, and that's the hit. But you knew, like, okay,
It's so clearly.
yeah. It's like such a beautiful, simple, brilliant song. You're like, okay, wow, he's doing it like that.
It's so cool to get a sort of like teaser of a song that's to come later at a live show. It's so fun.
I love that. I love that so much. Like a couple years later, I saw the Hold Steady a year before Boys and Girls America came out, and they did like Chips Ahoy and Something Stations. Like, all right, now we're doing classic rock here. Around the same time, the next year, I went to the Coachella Music Valley 2004. Easily one of the best weekends of my entire life. Like the little emo bitch that I am, me and my college friend danced and cried while the Pixies reunited. The Cure, Radiohead, just forget it. Just incredible.
Wow, that's gigantic.
And yeah, but Bright Eyes was there. I remember he's wearing this black hoodie. I think it was a really stripped down set, mostly stuff from Wide Awake. Because if memory serves, they recorded that album in like a week, and then they spent 6 months working on a Digital Ash. And I was like, oh wow, like this is really beautiful.
It's got to be the sparsest of any of the tours they did, right? Compared to like what you're describing with that Lifted tour.
Yeah, my girlfriend, now wife, she definitely respects Bright Eyes a lot. She knows he's talented. It's easier now. Back then, the voice was a real barrier to entry for her, which she really likes those classic popular like classic styles of singing. Whereas I'm like, as long as I can feel it, man, I don't care if you miss those bum notes.
Yeah, dude.
This is going to set off everyone's pretentious radar, but whatever, or pretentious alarm. As David Byrne once said, great singing can get in the way of actually like believing the singer. And sometimes a flawed voice can deliver truth better. And
to add to him, not to put myself on the level of David Berman, but like I think it's that, and then also if you have a flawed voice, you got to kind of find a different way to make a song worth listening to, not just have a beautiful voice. And
yeah, definitely.
I think there's a lot of that in Bright Eyes over those years you just described.
Yeah. Oh, David Byrne said that, but definitely David Berman is a person who doesn't have a traditionally
Got it.
good voice, air quotes, but somehow just makes it work for him. But yeah, and I definitely remember. I don't think my wife will listen to this podcast. I really care. She definitely cried, as did I, during Landlocked Blues, because God, I can talk about Landlocked Blues, but I feel like I'm blathering on.
Well, so this catches us up to 2005. So we will talk about Landlocked Blues because we're gonna go in on this record now. Here's something that I'm interested in, because you have a piece in Mel where you interviewed Conor. That was around the time of Down in the Weeds, right? A year or two ago. And so there's actually like a cool spot. I don't know if you had this planned or if it came up organically. I can't remember, but you guys get into I'm Wide Awake It's Morning and First Day of My Life in particular. And he says, this is something I've wondered about this record, because it's far and away the most popular Bright Eyes record. He acknowledges it in that interview. But he says, like, it's obviously our most popular record, our only gold record, all this and that, but it's just as much of an experiment as all of our other records. And I think he makes a good point in that, because in my mind, I always thought of as like, here's the clean, shiny one that people who don't want to hear him like squealing and screaming and stuff kind of going off the rails all the time. Here's one for them, and it's easy to slot that in as like, here's one to appeal to the masses. But it's also true that he's talking. It's a thing recorded to tape with people sitting in a circle, and it's just a rootsier record. That I agree with. It kind of recontextualized that record with me. The other thing he says to you is about First Day of My Life in particular. I think it's funny. It's not very representative of all the music we've made, but for whatever reason, it struck a chord with a larger audience. And he's kind of talking about just like, yeah, it's this different thing. Like, I believe he can write that kind of song any day of the week if he wants to. He's capable, and he possesses the genius and even the pop sensibilities to do that anytime. And this is an example of him letting himself do it without any subversion of that, like, I think he knew what he was doing when he's writing that song.
Yeah. I don't think he would ever admit that sort of thing, because I don't think artists don't like to sound crass about this sort of thing, or they usually don't. But I'm sure he realized, okay, this is my moment. If I can come out with the right album that's accessible but smart, that speaks to these times, I could have a hit. And I think he did that.
This is the first day of my life. Swear I was born right in the doorway. I went out in the rain, suddenly everything changed. They're spreading blankets on the beach. Yours is the first face that I saw.
But maybe it was also like, okay, this might be a little bit safe, might be the word. And that's maybe also why he made, or maybe just thought it's a little bit too easy because like they recorded in a week. That's also maybe why he made, and this is me getting inside his mind. We didn't talk about this sort of thing. Digital Ash.
I think so.
Half of that album is like new wave Depeche Mode style bangers, which they played at the dance night, indie rock dance night in my town. And the other half is like weird, cacophonous, really experimental. So it's him having both ways. Like, I can please the masses, but I can also still be weird. I haven't lost my edge, you guys. Pitchfork, don't you shit on me. And of course, they kind of did.
It's kind of like the subversive sounds are just placed on another record and released that same day, right?
Yeah.
The experimentation is there, and here's us playing another kind of music I like,
Yeah. But like the lyrics on Wide Awake are on some songs, particularly like Road to Joy or like Landlocked Blues, or looking at the song title, Old Soul Song, are very in their own way subversive, very much like, I feel scared, not of place in America. Oh God, what's happening?
And there were barricades to keep us off the street, but the crowd kept pushing forward till they swallowed the police. Yeah, they went wild. Yeah, they went wild. Yeah, they went wild.
And yeah, to Conor's credit, I agree with you. That album and First Day of My Life has ensured that for the rest of the time he wants to be a professional recording musician and touring musician, he can play nice-sized theaters in any major city in America and around the world. Unless something happens, that's not going away. And if he wanted to, he easily could have made that album again and again and again.
Yep.
And a lot of people have been happy with that. But instead, he's pushed himself and challenged himself. Will also be smart application, like, okay, but here's one for the old school fans or for the people. Like, all right, this album maybe didn't quite pop off like I wanted, or was just too sad. So here you go. He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine. You don't keep a recording career going for 25, maybe close to 30 years now. Goodness gracious, for 25 years if you don't know what you're doing. But he's smart to make it sound like he's not that canny, and that's very wise of him.
Yeah. When I say puts the subversive stuff on the other record, I mean kind of sonically. In terms of lyrics, what's kind of uniquely a major part of this is that, like, on Lifted, there's like some politics creep into a couple songs, especially Let's Not Shit Ourselves. But on the whole, it's still not really going there. And then obviously he has talked to Rob Harvilla in the last episode about when the president talks to God. That's its own very deliberately that kind of thing. But this record is kind of the first time that there are like 4 separate songs that are directly addressing the state of the nation. You know, we're the stuff in Lua, like what the conversation I had with Rob was kind of talking like, well, if you're just going to like grab a megaphone and say political things that doesn't feel very artful, that's leaving something to be desired. I think there's something to be said for that. And then what's beautiful is that this record that he made, and it's around the same time, is like, we made love on the living room floor with the noise in the background of a televised war, is like, he doesn't go on to just write anti-war protest songs. It's a total mingling of personal feelings and what's happening in the world, which is like kind of the way you described yourself young and in Florida processing it at that time. You know?
We made love on the living room floor with the noise in the background from a televised war. And in that deafening pleasure, I thought I heard someone say, if we walk away, they'll walk away.
Killer Mike has this great quote, like, I'm a whole man. You'll always see me in the street protesting for the Trayvon Martins of the world. You'll also always find me in the strip club smoking weed with my wife. I'm a multifaceted person. And like, yeah, that song is like, you know, Conor's in love. He has a girlfriend and they like to have sex. He like loves playing music. He's also terrified by the state of the world. Like, I love Zach De La Rocha, but if Zach De La Rocha's ever had a romantic feeling in his life or ever been horny, it's certainly something you would never gauge from his music, which is fine.
He's expressing that elsewhere.
Yeah. For Zach De La Rocha, Rage Machine and his other bands are a missile with one message, and that's great. I saw them back in July, and it was just incredible. I hope Zach De La Rocha's legs feel better in the near future. But yeah, this one is more about like, I'm a confused, this entire album is I'm a confused young man. I'm trying to find my place in the world, and there's just a lot going on.
Yeah.
So as your listeners may or may not know, in 2002, Sub Pop put out this sampler. All their bands at the time, Saddle Creek released Saddle Creek 50. And at the time, Saddle Creek was like, they were the hot young indie label. They had The Faint, Cursive, Bright Eyes, and I was so in the bag for them that I ordered the sampler from their mailbox or for their mail order catalog, a coffee mug, which I still have,
nice,
and Rilo Kiley's 2003 album, just sight unseen, thinking, if that's the new Saddle Creek band, I'm in. That's how much I was in. And you know what? I was correct, because Rilo Kiley's The Execution of All Things, absolute classic.
So
absolute
good.
Classic.
So you got the coffee mug, the Saddle Creek 50, and Execution of All Things?
Yes. In fact, right now, this is very random, but I'm showing you a drawing of the coffee mug. My good friend, do you see it?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Right. Listener, it's an orange coffee mug with the logo Saddle Creek on it. The story is, my good friend, the writer and artist Joan LeMay, Lemay. Hi, Joan. During the pandemic, she made her own little zine, because she's a very creative genius like that. There's people talking about their favorite coffee mug, and I did a little essay about how much I love Bright Eyes and Jane Lewis and Rilo Kiley and indie rock in general. And she drew a drawing up for the zine, and she gave me a copy of the drawing. And then, anyways, that sampler had an early version of Landlocked Blues called One Foot in Front of the Other.
Yep.
And even then, it was a great song. When they played it live in Tampa, I was like, oh God, it's so great.
The moon's laying low in the sky, forcing everything metal to shine. And the sidewalk holds diamonds like a jewelry store case. They argue, walk this way, not walk this way.
The updated one, cleaner production. Some of the lyrics are a little bit changed, but probably better sung, a bit cleaner, but just beautiful.
My good friend John, hi John, also a genius. No, just kidding. Actually, no, he is. You're John, you are a genius. But he turned me on to Saddle Creek 50. He kind of like made sure I was schooled on that before I went about the process of making a podcast. So
yeah,
he had that. Very thankful for that.
Yeah, the Cursive song, and there's a banger. I believe the Riley Kelly song is Jenny, You're Barely Alive. Beautiful song. Top 3 saddest horn parts in the history of indie rock.
God.
Number 3, Bill and Sebastian, The Stars of Track and Field.
Nice.
That's a bit more wistful. Number 2 is Landlocked Blues. And I'm sorry, Conor, I love you, but the number 1, it has to be my man Sufjan Stevens, Cosmo Pulaski Day. The little horn that comes in right after the kid dies in the song. Oh God, trying to think about it. But
it's hard to beat that.
And I would hope that Conor and Sufjan are friends, or at least respect each other. They've never said a bad word about each other, and Conor's not one to badmouth people unless he's extremely intoxicated, and those are always unfortunate incidents.
That's there, but they tends to, at least for the most part, punch up.
Yeah,
not laterally at Sufjan Stevens or anything. Parenthetical there, because I didn't expect such a peg to come up in it, but Sufjan Stevens, number 1 record the year that this came out. Number 1 Pitchfork record on their top 50 the year this came out, Illinois.
You can always be like, why did they say this album or this album? And like, I still do that.
Oh, it's just to get people to talk. I mean, Pitchfork, it's a hotter third rail than a lot of other ones, but like, it is like, here's just a wild thing. Sufjan Stevens, we're not pitting these people against each other. Number 1 in the top 50 that year. This record, I'm Wide Awake It's Morning, not on that list at all. Fascinating.
I'm sure at that point he was just too popular.
Yeah.
And Pitchfork has always had, I even mentioned this in my book, Top 8, How the MySpace Era Changed Music Forever, coming next year from Chicago Review Press. Kara Rhoda, I just plugged the book for the Chicago Review Press for you. I hope you're very happy with me.
Nice.
Now that I've done my plug. But yeah, I did. I talked to Mark Richardson, the very smart, nice editor Pitchfork at the time, who straight up and was like, oh yeah, like, I was just too old for MySpace. Like, I understand like why Michael Romance was I was too old for emo. Like, I understand why Michael Romance is a good band in a lot of ways, but if you're like 30 in your 30s, you're not going to get it. And they definitely always had like anti-emo institutional bias, which came out probably with Bright Eyes. I'm sure your friend of mine, Ian Cohen, had things to say about that. And also, on the day we were recording this, listener, Pitchfork just gave the Arctic Monkeys' very good new album, The Car, an 8.0, which is kind of their standard. Like, we acknowledge this band is still very good, but they're way too popular, and we can't give them the best new music, which they've done to Tame Impala, Vampire Weekend, 1975. It's just how they roll. So it's probably a combination of like too popular / emo. I don't know.
First off, I scrolled through Pitchfork the other day and just kind of looked, because a bunch of albums came out that I was excited about last Friday, and it was like every record was between like 7.4 and 8.5, which is just not the way it sticks in your mind. I think because the panned ones jump out so much, but this I'm Wide Awake It's Morning is 8.7. You know, it's not in the top 50, but I think it's even acknowledged in that review, although it's reviewed, which is a fascinating thing to me, and this actually could be a fun thing to talk about. It's reviewed in Pitchfork and in Rolling Stone as a shared review. Like, I'm Wide Awake It's Morning and Digital Ash are one review. The Rolling Stone one is Rob Sheffield. It's just, I think it's an interesting way to think about music. Like, are we reviewing and talking about what this person, this artist is putting into the culture at this moment? In that case, you review both of them. But if you're reviewing it as two separate records, which they very much are, it's a weird thing to me.
Do you want a really unsexy, boring answer?
Yeah, let's get it.
I'm sure they reviewed as one thing just for page count, page space, web space. Pay for answer for one piece, not two.
God damn it.
Yeah. I told you it was a boring answer.
It's less of a boring answer and more of an annoying answer. Not your fault, but
yeah.
I guess that makes sense. But I don't know. Still. It just feels weird to me. But all right, so let's real quick, as you talked about your book that looks at music and MySpace and everything. If you're Bright Eyes, you're releasing I'm Wide Awake It's Morning on this day, and you have your MySpace page and you get to feature 4 songs on it. Yeah. What 4 songs are going on your Bright Eyes MySpace music page to share with people looking at the track?
All right. let's say I'm Bright Eyes, I'm Conor Roberts. I realize I'm kind of famous. Like, I'm famous enough that, like, there's photos of me perhaps kissing Winona Ryder, perhaps just hanging out with her. You know, he's a gentleman who would never kiss and tell. We love that about Conor. And, like, even if he's a little bit wary of the star-making machine in this industry, as well he should be, I'm still putting my best foot forward, right? I still want to sell this album.
Yep.
So I'm going to put of my top 4, First Day of My Life, At the Bottom of Everything, Lucky, Easy, Free, and what was the lead single off of Digital Ash again?
Take It Easy, Love Nothing. That's what it was.
Yeah, probably that. Those would be the 4 most accessible things.
Yeah.
Those are songs that would catch like a random person that clicking out on MySpace. Like, oh, I heard this band is cool. I heard Seth Cohen likes them.
Nice. I think you just mentioned At the Bottom of Everything, and I think that's like Ian kind of made fun of this when I talked to him about Fevers and Mirrors, Ian Cohen, but like it's kind of like he has this sort of shake away the casual listener. I did what you described. Your experience with Fevers and Mirrors was my experience too, which was I found some things to make me come back to it and eventually fall in love with it, but at the moment be kind of like a little unsure, maybe even graded, but I don't know. But I think part of that had to do with I didn't know what the deal with the intro song was. I had a burned CD of this, and all I knew was just like, what the fuck is happening right now? And then you could get a song, but it's kind of like a little introductory song. And that happens on all the Bright Eyes records that precede this. And then when you get this one, you get a story that's not even 1 minute long, that is in Conor's voice, is very clear, and then you bang into a song that could be a single if you wanted it to be. Yeah. It's so announcing itself as like what this record is, something much more immediate, you know?
We love you very, 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 very much. And then he starts humming this little tune, and it kind of goes like this. It's kind of 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Talking every telephone, get eaten off the web. Must rip out all the epilogues from the books that we have read. Into the face of every criminal, strapped firmly to a chair. We must stare, we must stare, we must stare. We must take.
I am who I am, and I can't make a song. I cannot make an album, at least a Bright Eyes album, that doesn't have some kind of weird intro. I have a brand, but I'll keep it short. I'll keep it short. The intro will tie into the song, and boom, banger right there.
It does it. And I think it really does. I actually love that intro, but I think I think a lot of people do, but I just, the immediacy, I like brevity and immediacy and everything like that. And that song is so goddamn good. And that intro is so unintrusive and interesting enough that there are a lot of songs that I'll swipe ahead from like some skit or something and just get to the song. And I never do with that song.
Yeah, it's great.
Part of that song.
Jim James of My Morning Jacket, they were tight back then, killing it on the backing vocals.
While my mother waters plants, my father loads his gun. He says death will give us back to God, just like the setting sun is returned to the lonesome ocean.
I believe around that time period, Jim James and Ward and Conor Roberts, before they would do Monsters of Folk, would just like do shows together around New York. So that's kind of how that happened. Great song, very fun video from the time period when Evan Rachel Wood, the actress, was appearing in a lot of alternative rock videos. So she's in the video for that, and she's in the video for Green Day's Jesus is Suburbia, I believe. And unfortunately, that trend reached an unfortunate conclusion when she hooked up with Marilyn Manson, but we don't need to go down that road. But we love you, Evan Rachel Wood, and we hope you're in a good place these days.
So you mentioned the Jim James, My Morning Jacket harmony vocals, and then obviously there's the 3 songs with Emmylou Harris vocals. This is like, I was trying to think about the best way to put this, but this is about my favorite harmony background vocals on any record that I've ever listened to. Like you know how like I think back in the day when we were kids, like Aladdin or like some voiceover, like those were like professional voice actors, you know?
Yeah.
And then now these are like famous people, but they might even be better if they were professional voice actors. Like I don't know why I'm talking so I don't know what kind of fucking path I'm going down blind right now, but
Yeah.
the using the guy from My Morning Jacket and Emmylou Harris on this is not some like token look at these people are on this record. It jumps off of those 4 songs so beautifully. Like the Jim James, that is louder than your average harmony, or standing out more than your average harmony. And the Emmylou Harris ones, I don't know how they went about having her sing on it. I know she wasn't in that room, and I know it was like brought to her, but she's like, especially in Landlocked Blues, she's like kind of just loosely shadowing these songs and just sort of like not exactly on, but it's so beautiful and perfect in the way her voice is, but just kind of like casually there. It's my favorite.
And Laura's asleep in my bed. As I'm leaving, she wakes up and says, I dreamed you were carried away on the crest of a wave. Baby, don't go away, come here. And there's kids playing guns in the street, and one's pointing his tree branch at me. And so I put my hands up, I say enough is enough. If you walk away, I'll walk away. And he shot me dead. I found a liquid cure from my landlocked blues.
To some extent, Conor is flexing, as well he should. But showing like, hey man, I'm the god of indie rock. Here's my boy Jim James. Oh yeah, and I got this legend on this album because that's how I roll these days.
Yeah,
but yeah, he does it in an unobtrusive way. I'm sure he's smart enough to realize that his voice is an acquired taste. Although I think on this album he's doing the best he can to sing beautifully. It works for me. But maybe he's putting his best foot forward. Like for a couple of songs, I'm really going to bring in Emmylou Harris because he can't do better. I don't remember which music critic said this. It could be Tom Bryan. It could be someone else. But on Tom Bryan from Village Voice and Stereogum these days.
Yeah.
That definitely on that song, Landlocked Blues, which is this great song about just being trapped in America, feeling like the world's falling apart and you just can't do anything about it. Then Emmylou Harris almost acts like kind of like a marker, just underline every line so you pay attention, you know how important it is.
Wow.
You'll be free, child, once you have died from the shackles of language, immeasurable time. And then we can trade places, play musical grace. Till then walk away, walk away, walk away, walk away. So I'm up at dawn.
Innocence and sex and terror and not knowing how to feel about everything. Are you allowed to be happy during a nightmarish time? Like what is happening? Just like underline the absolute confusion of being alive and young and feeling terrified in the George W. Bush era.
So you mentioned it earlier, but while we're on Landlocked Blues, the trumpet the trumpet moment is so fucking beautiful and so like
it expresses a despair and just a deep yearning that, as great as Conor is as a vocalist and as a lyricist, he just can't get there. He needs that push to really, really hit that level of ecstasy that the song requires.
If you're still free, start running away, 'cause we're coming for you.
Because this album is like kind of made in the mold of like a 1970s gold FM album, like something Jackson Browne would make. He told me once, and like so they're kind of going for that with like more subversive lyrics.
Yeah,
it's because like if you're a weird subversive band like Bright Eyes is, sometimes the weirdest thing you can do is make a somewhat quote unquote normal album. Like that's what the Flaming Lips started doing for a while, then they went a different path. If you get into the mainstream, you reach the normies and then like kind of like corrupt some of them.
Yeah, sneak some stuff past the goalie while you're there.
And I'm sure there's like plenty of like, and I say this like with nothing but love and affection, there are probably plenty of kids who are like, oh, this cute emo boy, I love him, or like, I'll listen to the album, and like these and later on became like dirtbag leftists who like listen to Chapo Trap House and try to get Bernie Sanders elected.
I think you're probably not wrong. That
Yeah.
we've evolved a whole lot in the last 15, 20 years of this country.
Mhm.
Evolved and devolved at the same time. But
Yeah, that's definitely true.
and so yeah, that trumpet is Nate Walcott, who at this time formally becomes part of the band.
Yeah.
Just pretty cool.
And the thing we never talk about, side note, and I don't mean this in any kind of insulting way. I was a teenager in the 90s, but I have affection for this day. It's just interesting that Nate Walcott was for a while unofficially a member of the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I
And I
know.
like, he's never talked about it. He played keyboards in the back of the band during the time period when John Frusciante had taken one of his mini sabbaticals from the band, and Josh Klinghoffer was in it. And I think maybe they realized, okay, if we don't have John Frusciante's genius, we need a bigger band. So they had brought in like a keyboard player, Nate, and like a secondary percussionist. I know a lot of other Hot Chili Peppers for a reason. And again, I love the Peppers. It's very easy to make fun of them, and I can make fun of them all day. But don't tell me that's not like the best rhythm section almost any rock band's ever had. But what's interesting is because Anthony Kiedis needs the rest of his voice because he's an unconventional singer. There's plenty of clips online of Anthony like taking a break during the encore, and Josh Klinghoffer, who again I think is a really great guitar player. It's not his fault. He's not John Frusciante, but his cover a song that he liked. There's videos of him covering Elliott Smith's Angels, covering Cat Power, covering the Replacements. But there's plenty of videos of him covering. I think First Day of My Life he's covered. I think he's also covered a few of the Bright Eyes songs. So, and obviously, famously, Flea plays bass on Down the Weeds Where the World Was. So I will simply say, if you were to tell Conor Roberts in 2002, like, by the way, one day there's going to be quite a circle of overlap between the Bright Eyes universe and the Red Hot Chili Peppers universe, I don't know what he would have thought. I don't know what I would have thought, but time is interesting.
That's your next freelance piece.
Yeah.
The concentric circles of Bright Eyes and Red Hot Chili Peppers. That is a botched use of concentric circles. What I meant was Venn diagram. Back to it.
But it's weird because like streaming plus time plus like the way we all kind of like listen to whatever we want to. There's no weird contradiction. Like I like the most recent Pitchfork's tops of the 90s list was like My Bloody Valentine and Mariah Carey are both geniuses. Deal with it, which is great. That's how it should be. We live in a world where everyone should like just appreciate everything and there shouldn't be any boundaries.
Right.
But time is just collapsing to the point that it's like if you're a teenager or like a 20-something, it's like, yeah, Bright Eyes, Red Hot Chili Peppers, they're both alternative rock. What do you mean? Like,
shit.
Like this weekend, I believe, is the When We Were Young festival. And I love Bright Eyes. I'm not afraid to say it. I love My Chemical Romance. I wouldn't say I love the capital L Avril Lavigne, but she's got bangers. We don't need to put our nose up about her. But I'll simply say in 2004, the idea that there would be a festival that would have Avril Lavigne, My Chemical Romance, and Bright Eyes as like the three marquee guests, all in the same thing, all kind of representing one genre, representing emo, in quote marks, would be like, what? That's absurd. No, those bands are solid. What? No, this is me. And now I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like, I'm sure there's some young band out there who's like, oh yeah, those are our main three reference points. And who knows, the band might be, this theoretical band I've created in my head might be awesome.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's still weird to me, but that's residual me from the early 2000s bringing that to it. And it's like, man, what you say about like, oh, those are just alternative rock bands. You're right about that. That's actually a pretty eye-opening thought. But this festival is also us aging into a period where we, in theory, ideally have some disposable money to go to Vegas and see that thing. Yeah. It's there in reality to collect our money now that we.
Like, I'm not flying out to Vegas for this festival, and not to go on a rant, but after Travis Scott's Astroworld, and rest in peace to all those people who were hurt in this tragedy, I'm not so cool. I'm very suspicious of Live Nation doing festivals. Basically, Astroworld has been accused of maybe Live Nation cut some corners as far as security and promotion of security goes. And I just hope nothing bad happens When We Were Young. But yeah, if that festival were in New York and I thought that maybe it was on the safe side, I would probably go, but I'm not flying to Vegas for it.
Yeah. No, not happening. All right. So we got to make sure to talk about Lua. Because Lua is, I think, maybe the second most streamed Bright Eyes song, or somewhere right there. Like when you hear First Day of My Life, it just jumps out as like, boom, this is immediately affecting you and catchy and touching you emotionally, everything. Lua is a slow and somber, pretty naked song that is just simply incredible. Like it's simply detailed in ways that make you feel things. I feel like it's legitimately popular based purely on all of that, not anything. I don't want to say that like First Day of My Life is like cheap melodic hook, but it is melodic hook that gets you, and there's something that you can call formulaic about that. Not and I don't even say that derisively. Lua, I kind of think like Lua is improbable how huge and good and amazing that song is.
Yeah.
I know that it is freezing, but I think we have to walk. I keep waving at the taxis, they keep turning their lights off. But Julie knows a party at some actor's West Side loft. Supplies are endless in the evening, by the morning they'll be gone.
That song in many ways reminds me of the replacements Androgynous times Here Comes a Regular. Because the whole song is basically him like being like, okay, I'm hanging out with this young person. They clearly keep going to the bathroom to do cocaine. They clearly have a deep problem. But who am I to judge? I do shit too. As he said, like, it takes one to know one kid, and I think he got it bad. And also, like, it's not what I would recommend, but it is a way to live. And just like saying, I don't know what I can really do for this person. It's like be with them. Just let them know, like, I care about them.
Yeah.
I've been there. Let me know if I can help.
You're looking skinny like a model with your eyes all painted black. You just keep going to the bathroom, always say you'll be right back. Well, it takes one to know one, kid. I think you got it bad. But what's so easy in the evening, by the morning such a drag.
It's just like kind of watching someone destroy themselves and knowing that like you can't save them. Like kind of a version of Triple Hope, like I'm the emo hero boy and I'm gonna save this wayward girl. Like no, I can't. You can't save people. People have to save themselves. You can just support them.
Absolutely. I think it was maybe on the, don't remember what song, but Claire Carasillo on the Lifted episode said like something about all the songs and stories this person has told, when he's then telling you about a person that he's feeling for or concerned about, there's a something about that feels extra affecting, knowing based on like the narrator we have, you know. That, I don't know, that song is just rich with the way it uses its details is like you are on that train, you are feeling that cold, you are in that cafe, you are this is like kind of like, I don't know. I've lived in I lived in Chicago, I lived in Madrid, and anytime from the time these songs came out, when I would be like affected by any kind of substance in any way and moving through a city at night, I feel this song. It's like kind of ridiculous, but I do.
It's also in a very way, you know, kind of romantic to be young and fucked up in a beautiful metropolitan city, feeling like you're invincible.
Yeah.
And then the next day you realize you're not.
Exactly. This one does that. And yeah, talking about how this feels the next day. It's extremely powerful. Did you say that this was one of the ones did you hear this one before the record came out?
I think he did it live also. I believe that's, I think I heard it live before, yeah.
That's cool. A friend, I think I can't remember if I said this on a podcast, but a friend of mine, I got press pass once to go see a Conor Oberst show in Northern California that was like right before he was going on like Ruminations or Salutations, was that the second one, tour, and went to that show, and it was a solo show, but he had opening act, and the opening act was Phoebe Bridgers, who I'd never heard of, and this was like a little performing arts center, and I think he hadn't played Lua in a long time, similar to First Day of My Life, but she had been getting him to play it during that, so I got to see Lua get played. I was like very happy about it as a duet between the two of them. It was
That's amazing. That's beautiful.
beautiful and unexpected. And they even kind of said on stage, like, I think he said, like, this is a song I'd kind of grown some distance from, but have found a new love for based on this thing. And then they came out and sang it, and I was like, holy shit, in a lot of ways at that show.
And I'm not sure what the trouble was that started all of this. The reasons all have run away, but the feeling never did. It's not something I would recommend, but it is one way to live. 'Cause what is simple in the moonlight by the morning never is.
Anything else it feels like we haven't talked to you about on Wide Awake This Morning, or loose thoughts or notes you
I
have?
think before we wrap it up, we can't do this without talking about First Day of My Life a little more. I definitely at least floated the idea of walking down the aisle to that song, but it was a bit too far. Instead, being the absolute basic indie rock bitch I am, it was The Magnetic Fields, The Book of Love, and great song too. But yeah, it's funny. Some artists, like I know when I've seen Trent Reznor play Hurt, like, here's a song that doesn't belong to me. Some songs just become so huge they just escape the artist. They're not really theirs in a way, even though I'm sure there's almost rarely times in Conor when Bright Eyes plays venues where they don't do the songs. They have to get the people they want. But yeah, that song has been covered by like Lisa Loeb, Mac Miller of all people. I think it was sampled by Young Thug. It's weird how much rap people love Bright Eyes, but they appreciate a smart lyricist telling a story. They appreciate emotion.
I learned that from your Mel piece. I wasn't aware that that was the thing that was happening.
Sarah Silverman covered it, I believe, at the funeral for the comedian Harris Whittles. It's a very sad YouTube clip. It's just like, sincerity is scary. Just telling a person like, I love you, and like that's it. No guys, no being clever. And the part then where he just goes like, and we don't need to go into my personal romantic troubles, and I'm very happily married, but like, this time I think it's different. I mean, I really think you like me. It's like, oh God. Maybe the best moment in Conor Roberts' entire career is just him saying me.
Besides, maybe this time it's different. I mean, I really think you like me.
Like, that might be the peak of what Conor Roberts can do with music to a listener affecting their feelings. That might be his absolute power. Because unless you put your guard up too strong, the guy will reach you. If you even meet him halfway there, the man will give you a feeling.
Absolutely. And that, we talk about that feeling now, but place yourself back in like the era, maybe not in emo, but in indie rock at that time. That kind of sincerity was not common or rewarded,
Yeah, that's true.
And that part at the end, I mean, First Day of My Life, I think, where we talk about all these vivid details on Lua, First Day of My Life probably is a song people are walking down the aisle to and dancing to and at their weddings and stuff. It's told in a way,
for a long time.
Exactly. It's told in a way that you can project yourself onto it easily. It's there. It feels that way, like a lot of, like most of the big pop songs are,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then that last line you talk about, there's a moment of like making sure to still be Bright Eyes and Conor Oberst and this person who's been through it.
It can't be easy. There has to be some despair. To my knowledge, that song's never been covered by like American Idol contestant. If that had happened, I think that would have made the blog Stereogum rounds. To this day, it wouldn't surprise me if like some more traditionally quote marked good singer covered it. Some equivalent to Kelly Clarkson or like Dua Lipa, that sort of thing. Just covering a very straightforward top 40 pop song, number like getting a smash, and like, hey, I'm all for it. If that put some money in Conor Roberts' bank account, if that introduces them to a new generation of kids, I would think that'd be great.
You're absolutely right. That could absolutely happen. That's money in the bank for whoever does that.
I know there's a time period, I think she may have used down in it, but there's a time period where Taylor Swift just invite guests on stage, And like, there's videos of her doing Tegan and Sarah's Closer, covering, I believe, getting Jimmy World out to do The Middle. It's like, if Conor's down for it, he could easily get on stage. He could easily duet First Day of My Life. There's no reason that couldn't happen. If Taylor Swift is in the National, she is most certainly into the Bright Eyes. If you're into the National, you're into Bright Eyes. That's just a given.
It's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, it's like I remember I was aware of Old Crow Medicine Show and the song Wagon Wheel, and then like 4 years later, the guy from Hootie and the Blowfish just picked it up, covered it, put it on country radio, and just absolutely blew up with it.
You can't be too defensive. You can't. You don't get to claim ownership over these things.
It ain't even about that. No, it's just like surprisingly. It's just. Yeah, I think it's astute to say that this song is sitting there to have that done with it.
Yeah, I still think it'll happen one of these days.
Where can people find you on the internet? Things that you've done recently, things you will be doing, etc.
Twitter.com/MTEEDDER. At the time we're recording this, today I had a piece on the Ringer about British television and piracy. You can read more of my work at Michael Tedder, TEDDER.contently.com. And I need to get a more professional writerly webpage before my book comes out. My book, Top 8, How the MySpace Era Changed Music Forever, will be available by the good people at Chicago Review Press in August of 2023 and is available for pre-order wherever you like to order your books.
Massive congratulations on finishing that and having that.
Hey, I really appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on. It's been a blast. I'm always down to talk about Bright Eyes and emo.
Excellent. I loved talking to you, and I learned a lot myself. And today, as I was reading your article about the British TV, I pulled out copies of The British Office and The In-Betweeners I couldn't when I first bought them, I couldn't play here on my DVD player because I studied bottom while studying abroad.
Cool, man. Well, hey, Justin, this has been a blast. Please hit me up when you get to Casadega.
Beautiful. Love it.
All right.
Good talking.
Thanks, man.
Till then, walk away, walk away, walk away, walk away. So I'm up at dawn, putting on my shoes. I just want to make a clean escape. I'm leaving, but I don't know where to. I know I'm leaving, but I don't know